Welcome back, everybody. We're back with another trade recap. Today is FOMC. It's a big day, so let's get started. Let's go to the news real quick. Let me show you what's going on this week. So we had employment cost index released earlier, which was nothing too crazy, 8:30 a.m. before my session. But this is the big dog right here. It still hasn't released. The last FOMC meeting of the year. Federal funds rate is going to be announced, all that good stuff. So going into today's trading session, I had that in mind that FOMC is releasing later today. I'm not going to force anything. And if I have to not take any trades, I'm not going to take any trades in the AM session. That was my mentality going into the markets today. So today I traded mainly the Dow Jones, and let's start on the higher time frame once again. Every day when you trade every day, honestly, you don't really have to come and analyze the higher time frame, the 4 hour time frame every single day. Because you're on the charts every day, you have sort of an idea of what's going on. So basic recap. This 4 hour supply zone, price tapped in, it was making bearish movements, and price then reached this 4 hour demand zone right here, which caused the most recent bullish break. So now we're at like sort of a crossroads where the higher time frame is showing bearish and the lower 4 hour time frame, the internal structure is showing bullish. So at this point, I'm just moving down and we're just trading whatever we could see. All right. Hold on, let me get on the replay mode real quick. Okay, right there. Full screen that. Okay. So now let's do my analysis on the 15-minute now. So clearly we're in this demand zone as I've marked out before, and price reacted off of this supply zone, made a lower low, and is within a demand zone. So normally I would look for buys from here. That would be my thing. Because even though internal structure might be bearish right here, I'm looking for buys to sweep, to mitigate these imbalances up here, to make a retracement. Because once a lower low is formed, there needs to be a retracement in order for another lower low to form. Given that we're in a demand zone as well, I'm strongly bullish for today. All right. So now 15-minute time frame. I'm going to play it through a little bit so we can see what happened right before my session opened. Okay. Now, what can I see here? I can see that the Asian session made a little bit of a range. London session ranged for the first half, made a strong bearish move. Correct. Now, there were probably many sellers getting into the market right here. Price came up. Price took out all these early sellers. Also swept the session highs up here. So that was an inducement. And now price is starting to move bearish once again. So let's move down to the 5-minute. Let's see. I'm going to go right before my session. So 9:25. This is what I'm seeing. Right before my market session started. Okay, we got this sweep. Price came up here. We had this bearish leg. We're in a higher time frame demand. Boom. Simple. Now I'm going to go down to the 1-minute. And I'm just going to let the market play out. And we're just going to read the market as it goes along. Okay, price opened, New York Stock Exchange opened, bullish move. Usually for the 9:30 a.m. every day, I don't trade it. I just watch it, see how price reacts, because it's usually a lot of choppiness. The real move of the day usually does not happen at 9:30 on the dot. So let's see. Boom. We got a sweep of the London session lows. Now, in my mind, I don't know if this is a sweep yet. So I had this as a bearish break. Okay, what I saw, we swept the highs, induced, came down, and made a lower low. That's what I saw for now. So right now, I was just monitoring the charts. I had this zone marked out as well. I was not going to trade it because we're in a higher time frame demand zone, but this is a potential supply zone that price could react from. If price reacted from here and continued bearish, it doesn't matter because I wasn't going to trade it anyways, but I just had it marked out. Let's see what happens. Boom. This was my first indication that price was ready to move bullish. This was no longer a bearish break of structure. Instead, it was a liquidity sweep. Why? Because price came down, took out the buyers from here, and then failed to close below and made a bullish break. So this was my first trade idea of the day right here. I had that demand zone marked out, and I was targeting a 1 to 3 as I always do. So right there, 1 to 3 RR, it's about there. And let's just see what price does, if I'm gonna get tapped in or not. Boom, price made a bullish break, correct? Price came up here, we made another bullish break, and this zone over here, this potential supply zone, was a bearish sweep. Supply zone, people probably sold from here, seeing how it took out liquidity, made a bearish break. They all got taken out. SMC trap. So now, given this, I have an extreme zone and a decisional zone. So what I decided is to take the trade from the decisional, given the bullish nature of price at the moment. And this was my decisional zone. In addition, if you really want to read between the lines, you can see what price came in to this supply zone, made a low, made a low, high, low. It was a bit of a consolidation between this range, came up, and then broke this low right here, which was a liquidity sweep. People probably saw this as a confirmation, probably entered into shorts right here, got taken out, which gives me more confluence for this trade right here. Now, this was my first trade idea. I had a 1 to 3 risks to reward. Boom. Let's see what happens. So there was a lot of waiting in today's session, as you're going to see. Price moved up, came pretty close to my take profit level. I'm just going to let it play out. Came down. Now look at this. I did not get tapped into this trade, even though, because of spreads and whatever, even though it came directly to the tick, I did not get tapped into this trade. So let's see what happens. Price didn't tap me in, made a bullish break. Now this had me hot, because when you're in the session and you're waiting for all this price movement, so I was waiting for about 40 minutes, just sitting there waiting for price to reach my point, and price doesn't tap you in for one tick and then leaves without you. That's painful, man. However, we stayed composed. We didn't let it get to us. I mean, I did kind of let it get to me. I'm gonna explain. We had a bullish break right there. So now I just delete these limits. Price would have gone up and gotten close to my take profit. Okay, whatever. Now, this is what I was looking at. I was on the 2-minute time frame. I saw there was a decisional demand zone right here. And I'll be honest. Okay, let's do a read. My entry was just a little bit too tight. Price tapped into this demand zone, broke structure. I'll be honest. I entered off of this decisional demand simply because I didn't want to miss out on the move. I'll be honest. Because this zone, very tight zone, it's kind of like, it doesn't really have that much time to create the zone. It was literally 2 candles and then a break. Not a very strong zone at all. So this was definitely taken from a place of missing this trade earlier and then wanting to be in a trade, not wanting to miss the bullish move of the day. So I took this trade. Let's see what happens. Get a little bit of movement. I get stopped out. Normal. However, before I entered this trade, I also marked out the extreme demand zone because I understood that this zone was also valid. So first trade of the day was a loss right here. However, despite any emotionality, whatever, you just took a loss, you might feel whatever, bro. That does not matter, because I knew according to my rules, in accordance to my plan, boom, I had this zone right here, which I had to enter from. That was my zone. Extreme and decisionals. Decisional and extreme. These were my 2 zones for the day, my 2 entries for the day. So, yeah. Let's see. I'm going to mark out price in a second. I'm going to let it play. However, my take profit was this zone right here. There was a sort of like a little high up here, which coincided with about 3R. If I go to the 15, you're going to see it. Right there. That high right there. That was my take profit. All right. I'm going to let it play out, and we're going to see what price does. Following this, first stop loss. Alright, let's play it out. Boom. Price came here. In accordance to my rules, once I got this break, I moved my stops to just below this low. So this was my new stop loss. I reduced the risk. I was at about 0.3 RR right here in risk. I think I put it a little lower, somewhere around there. And then price plays out. We hit take profit for a nice 3R gain. So 3.75 actually, somewhere around there. I think I took profits at 50. Yeah. So 3.75 for the second trade, -1 for the first trade. So we're up 2.75 R for the day, which I will take. Given FOMC, nice quick in and out, take profit, I will take it. Now, what's my main lesson for the day? My main lesson for the day is I was able to be aware that even though I got stopped out of the first trade, I still have a valid entry on this one. Just because I got stopped out, if I got scared and I didn't enter this trade, which is a completely valid trade, just because I got scared of hitting stop loss from before, I would have missed out on this trade, which is a completely valid trade. And that would have been a no-go. That would have been terrible. Second, I barely missed this trade, which is just unfortunate. It happens sometimes, but I barely missed this trade, and that caused me to enter off of this decisional. From the future, from now on, I have to avoid decisional zones of this nature. This decisional zone was, let me just mark it out. Decisional zone was good. Why? Price came in, it had a little sweep, it had more time to form before it made the move, before it broke structure. This zone, it didn't really enter a supply zone really. This one also had a supply zone which it induced. This one was just a little 2 candles and then a move. Not really a valid zone. I have to avoid zones like this in the future. But yeah, summary of today, we had first loss, -1R, second win, plus 3.75R, plus 2.75R for the day. 1 win, 1 loss. So for FOMC, that's not bad at all. This is what you got to do, guys. I used to struggle with this. I used to get greedy, try to hold past my take profits, try to hold for too long. And not only does it stress you out and cause you to go on tilt later because you see floating profits and they just get taken from you, it's just not sustainable. You're gonna trade out of emotion. So ever since I started implementing either full take profits at 3R or 50% partials if I'm on a live account and I want to hold for longer, it's been a game changer. So try it out, guys. 3RR is the way to go. Either take full profits or a partial. Trust me, guys, especially if you trade the lower time frames, because we're trying to trade these intra-session moves. We're not going to be over here holding to create a whole new higher high on the 15-minute, on the hourly. We're not here to do that. We're just here to get in and out of the market, make our profits, follow our rules. That's it. Simple. So yeah, guys, that's the trading recap. Come back tomorrow for another recap, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.